I think it is. I think it is important for the left to broaden, to have a bit of a broader vocabulary than neoliberal or not, fascist or not. And I don't think either neoliberal or fascist is a good description of Trump. There's so many aspects, at least rhetorically, of economic nationalism that mean that I mean.
But he represents the breakdown of the neoliberal order. I mean, I think that's the really hard thing to accept for the left, right? Because they define themselves against neoliberalism. It's difficult to accept the fact that the neoliberalism is being broken down by Trump and not by them.
Well,
and this is part of the difficulty of what's and not least the fact also that he has working class support. He stole millions of people who voted for Obama in the Northeast decided they didn't want to vote for Hillary. So I think
but that can be overstated. I mean, it was decisive, but it wasn't.
No, sure.
Masse,
but my point is like I think this is Trump clearly is a neoliberal. And he's quite the opposite. He's disintegrating the neoliberal era. This is the form it's taking in the US. And the left has difficulty accepting that, I think, because, they were the ones who opposed themselves to neoliberalism, but were unable to overthrow it.
But I think especially when we're talking about the global hegemon, the United States, it's vitally important that you talk about, a presidency in relation to the international order and how they relate to that, not their domestic policies, precisely for the reasons that Quinn discusses, which is that ordo globalism is precisely about creating a sort of a global order for the world market and protecting it.
But they're very tightly connected, because it's all about how we got ripped off. We did bad deals. I'm going to do better deals. So those two things are very tightly connected with NAFTA negotiations, even tariffs against Canada. The trade war brewing trade war with Germany and with China, all of this. So the two things are directly connected in Trump's political project.
Yeah, so I quite like the idea. I quite like the idea that Trump is a symptom above all of the decline or the breakdown of left neoliberalism. That really he's to go back to Hillary again. He's a symptom of the decline of Hillary Clintonism.
We really need to do an episode on Hillary.
Every episode is on Hillary.
Wait, so
like every book about America is about the idea of America.
Right. To pull in another example, just because we've talked about it, there's another episode that we can refer back to, which is what we did on Hungary last year. Orban there is creates a paradise for German capital, basically. What was I reading recently where it was described it as having kind of, a little China or even somewhere lower down the wage scale within the middle of the center of Europe. At the same time as obviously having all these nationalist and sort of populist and very reactionary characteristics. And again, is that just a maintenance of neoliberalism, but adding in these nationalist characteristics as a way of legitimizing neoliberalism, but without actually changing anything in essence? And I guess that's kind of my question about: are we still in neoliberalism? Are we still in the neoliberal period? Does the new kind of anti-globalist alliance, in big scare quotes, does that represent an end to neoliberalism?